My first night as a security guard was supposed to be easy. The building had been abandoned for years. My only job was to watch the security cameras until sunrise. Before leaving, my supervisor handed me a flashlight, a radio, and a handgun. "If you see anyone inside," he said, "check it yourself first." Then, he locked the front door behind him. The first few hours were uneventful. Empty hallways, dark offices, nothing unusual. Then, one of the cameras flickered. A tall figure slowly walked across the hallway on the third floor. I immediately switched to the next camera. Nothing. Then another camera. The same person, walking in the opposite direction. I checked every monitor. The figure kept appearing, always walking, never showing its face. I grabbed the radio. "Is anyone in the building?" Only static. I tried calling my supervisor. No answer. I watched the cameras for another minute. The figure stopped. Then, it slowly turned toward the camera. Its face was completely black. No eyes, no mouth, just darkness. The screen filled with static. I unlocked the security room. Flashlight in one hand, gun in the other. I followed the third floor hallway. The building was silent, too silent. Then I heard footsteps, slow, heavy. Coming from around the corner, I aimed my flashlight. Nothing. The footsteps stopped. I turned around. The hallway behind me was empty. Then something breathed into my ear. I spun around, standing less than 6 feet away, was the same figure from the cameras. Only now, I could see its face. Its skin looked stretched over bone. Its mouth split open from ear to ear. Rows of impossibly long teeth filled the darkness inside. I fired, once, twice, 3 times. The bullets tore through its chest, but it didn't even flinch. Instead, it smiled wider. I ran. Every emergency door was locked. Every staircase led back to the same hallway. No matter which way I turned, it was always behind me. I finally saw the front entrance. I threw myself toward the exit. I grabbed the handle. It wouldn't move. Behind me, the footsteps stopped. I turned around. The creature was inches from my face. It whispered, "Your shift isn't over."
I moved into apartment 307 6 months ago. The rent was unusually cheap for the area, but I didn't ask questions. I was 24, living alone for the first time, and working remotely. The building was old, but it was clean. The neighbors were quiet. Everything was fine, at least for the first few weeks. Then I started hearing footsteps. Not unusual footsteps. These came from the apartment directly above mine. Every night, exactly at 2:17 a.m. The strange part wasn't the noise, it was the pattern. The footsteps always followed the exact same route. 5 steps across the living room, a pause, 3 steps toward what should have been the kitchen, another pause, then 7 steps back, every single night, always identical. At first, I assumed it was an insomniac neighbor, someone pacing, someone with a routine. But after a month, I realized something. The timing never changed, not by a second. People don't move like that. I tried ignoring it. Then, one night, the footsteps stopped halfway through the pattern. 5 steps, pause, 3 steps, pause, silence. I remember sitting upright in bed, waiting, listening. Nothing. The silence felt wrong. The next morning, I asked the building manager who lived upstairs. Then he checked his records. Nobody. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. Apartment 407 had been empty for nearly 2 years. I didn't believe him. So that evening, I went upstairs. The hallway was empty. Apartment 407 stood at the end. Dust covered the door. No welcome mat, no decorations, nothing. I knocked. No answer. I pressed my ear against the wood. Silence. When I looked through the narrow gap beneath the door, all I could see was darkness. I went back downstairs feeling embarrassed. Maybe the sound came from somewhere else. Maybe old buildings carried noise. That night, I stayed awake. At 2:17 a.m., the footsteps began. 5 steps. Pause. 3 steps. Pause. 7 steps. I grabbed my phone and ran upstairs. The sounds continued while I stood outside apartment 407. They were definitely coming from inside. I could feel faint vibrations through the floor. Someone was walking around in there. I raised my hand to knock. The footsteps stopped. Instantly, the silence that followed felt deliberate, as if whoever was inside had realized I was standing there. I went back downstairs. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I searched online for information about the building. Most of the results were boring. Property records, renovation permits, nothing unusual. Then I found an old newspaper article. 20 years earlier, a woman named Laura had lived in apartment 407. She had vanished. No signs of forced entry, no suspects, no explanation. Her disappearance was never solved. The article included a photograph, a smiling woman standing in front of the building. Behind her was a window. Apartment 407. I stared at the image. Something felt familiar. Then I realized what it was. The position of her body, the angle of her shoulders, the direction she was facing. It matched the pattern of the footsteps. I couldn't explain why that bothered me. That night, I recorded the sounds. 5 steps. Pause. 3 steps. Pause. 7 steps. I played the recording over and over. Eventually, I imported the audio into a program used for editing podcasts. I don't know why. Maybe curiosity. Maybe obsession. I zoomed in on the waveform, and that's when I noticed something. The pauses weren't silent. There was a faint sound underneath them. I amplified it. The result made my stomach drop. It was breathing. Not walking. Breathing.